Welcome to Season 2 of the Erotic Realm podcast, where we explore the world of eroticism, one erotic realm at a time. I'm Em, a sexologist and kinkster. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize desire in all of its forms, including darker desires. Each episode, we dive deep into the psychology of desire with a sexpert, everyday kinkster, or a kink expert. This is an independent podcast. To support it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at psychologyofdesire.com, where you'll also find deep dives into desire and surveys that you can participate in. You can also sign up there to get the podcast delivered directly to your inbox when it's released. And now for today's episode. Before we get started, I have something very excited to announce. The podcast has been nominated for the Australian Adult Industry Awards in the category of Best Podcast. So if you'd love to vote for the Erotic Realm to win this category, it would be amazing to have your support. I'll put a link to the voting website in the show notes, and I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a click and a vote, and who knows, maybe it will win Best Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. If you'd like to support the podcast, please consider checking out the brands that support the Erotic Realm. There's Firm Tech, whose tech ring offers fascinating insights into sexual health by tracking erection quality and nocturnal function. Splash Blanket, who create luxurious waterproof blankets designed for comfort, intimacy, and real-life messes. ProDX Health, who offer discreet, at-home STI testing. While Karoo and Lovents make premium pleasure technology, from couple toys to long-distance interactive devices. Then there's Lioness, who are doing something truly unique in sex tech, using biofeedback and orgasm data to help people better understand their arousal. I'm also partnering with Flow and Desire, science-backed libido support supplements designed to support sexual vitality and well-being. These are brands that I find genuinely interesting, science-backed, and I've used them myself, so they come with my recommendation. You can find the links to all of them in the episode description. If you try them, use the links below. It supports the show at no extra cost to you. And now, back to today's conversation. The following conversation explores a journey many people will quietly recognize, the experience of discovering desires that were always there, waiting to be understood. My guest today is Jay, a kinkster, former sex worker, wife, and lifelong student of human sexuality, whose journey into BDSM began not with certainty, but with curiosity. Together we explore how kink can unfold gradually through exploration, relationships, community, and self-discovery. We discuss her early fascination with understanding other people's desires, how working in sex work challenged assumptions about sexuality, and how introducing kink into a long-term marriage transformed both her relationship and her understanding of herself. This is a conversation about curiosity, courage, relationships, and what happens when we allow ourselves to explore who we really are. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today we are exploring the erotic realm of Jay. Welcome, Jay.
Hey there.
Happy to have you. So to start us off, we just like to get an idea of who you are outside of kink and sexuality. So what do you tend to get up to when you're not exploring your sexuality in day-to-day life?
I very much enjoy riding my motorcycle with my husband.
Okay.
It's a very, very recent thing I've gotten into. Turns out it's really helped the confidence.
Mm-hmm.
We love going outdoors when we get the chance. Obviously, work and life gets in the way of that sometimes, and currently now being that it's winter, it's freezing. I love food. I love cooking. I'm a very quote-unquote normal person in that respect, and then when the lights go down, everything changes.
So let's talk about that, when the lights go down and everything changes. How do you describe yourself erotically, and how would you define your sexuality and your kink identity?
I describe myself as bisexual. If you ask my husband, he would say that I am a dick-loving lesbian. He seems to think that I lean more towards women, but I think that's just because they're pretty. I currently am exploring needle topping. I would say that I'm a switch to some degree. I love bottoming for impact, which is what I do the most of in my personal life with my husband. But needle topping is something I'm very much exploring a lot heavily now. My husband wants to eventually suspend by big hooks. So I would really love to be able to place those confidently and safely. I feel like it would be an incredible connecting experience for the pair of us. And I would probably say that I am just a very sensual person. I try to be a sensual person. It's in the right circumstance with the right people, like with everything. And that's probably me. That's probably me. I do smatterings of other things, rope and wax, primarily topping. I'd never say I'm a dom, I'm a top.
Right.
I'm horrible at telling people what to do.
Okay. So for you, is that what determines the difference between a dom and a top? How would you describe the difference between the two, and why are you more top and not a dom?
I feel, at least to me, dom has a connotation of being a lot more not demanding, but I'd say that it's really hard for me to eloquently say this. I'm not serious. I think a dom is serious.
Okay.
I am very playful. I'm very giggly. I'm very not serious. I usually feel that doms are a lot more structured and a lot more serious.
Right.
And I'm just not that.
Okay. Oh, I love when there's playfulness in kink. I think it's really important to have fun with it as well. And
because let's be honest, anything around sort of this realm and sex, there's going to be awkward moments.
Yeah.
And if you can't laugh through that, I probably don't want to play with you. That's just who I am. And that gives me a good indication of a person if they can't take that in their stride, have a giggle and move on.
Yeah, good point. And what about needle topping? I'm not sure that we've had many needle tops on the podcast yet. You might be the first. Can you tell us more about what that means for you?
So it was a chance encounter to begin with. We went to a place in Melbourne and there was a couple there doing needles, and the male was topping and she was co-topping. And I sort of had a million and one questions. I come from a medical background with my family, so I've always had an interest in it, and I just kind of fell into it that way and found that it's very meditative for me to place a needle within someone and penetrate them in such a such an intimate way. Generally, I do designs. There's this fabulous company that it's actually the people that we met, and they do some amazing stencils to give you a bit of a framework to work from when you're doing these designs, and that I really love. I'm a creative person, and this gives me that bit of medical fix that I want but don't have like the more formal training for. And generally as a top, you're poking people. That's when it all boils down to it. You're poking people.
Yep. So, Jay, what would you say are your top 3 kinks currently? If you could only explore 3 kinks for the rest of your life from this point forwards, what would you choose and why?
That's really hard.
It is hard.
I'm a hard person to keep interested, which is why I bounce between so many. I definitely would stick with impact bottoming. I'm finding I enjoy it more and more. It is a release that I never thought I'd be capable of reaching, and it's something that when I have a bad day at work, I can message my husband and be like, session?
Mm-hmm.
And a whiskey, a single whiskey and an impact session just fixes whatever it was that was wrong with me from that day. So definitely that. Wax, I love wax, topping and bottoming for wax. I love it. It's just a really wonderful input of sensations.
Mm.
And gosh, I don't know. With the third one. Those are the two that I'm really thinking about, but I really don't know with the third one.
You mentioned before that you find needle topping meditative practice. Is wax the same kind of vibe for you as well? Do you find that you get into a meditative state when you're doing wax?
No, not really. Not like
Okay.
I do with needles.
Mm.
Not like I do with needles. Needles has a very different, I don't know, impact on me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very unexpected when it all happened, but it makes sense when I look at my background in medical.
Mm.
So I don't know whether I'm going to carry on it after we get to the end goal. It just really depends how it evolves.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm.
because this was started with a goal in mind.
Which
So
is
I
the
really,
suspension?
yes, my
Yes.
husband really wants to be suspended. That's something he's wanted to do.
Oh, he wants to be suspended. I thought you were meaning you wanted to suspend someone else together. Okay.
No,
Mm-hmm.
he wants to be,
Okay.
which is why I wanted to learn to do it because, like I sort of said earlier, I really think it would be an incredible bonding experience for us.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How amazing. And in terms of the impact play, you mentioned that it can kind of fix a bad day at work. Is that predominantly stress relief that you receive from that, or would you describe it in a different way?
I think it definitely is a release of that stress, but it also takes me out of my own head and
Mm.
gives me a space to go silent um, in my mind and physically until it starts to hurt, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I'm a big sook. But there's a point I think where I reached that subspace, which I didn't think I was capable of up until recently, but it turns out that I am, and it was a beautiful moment that I was able to completely switch all of the outside noise off, and it was just me and my husband, and
Mm.
it was amazing. I would say that I am someone that is still very much on my kink journey, and I wouldn't say it's new, but I still feel like a massive newbie.
Mm-hmm. Ah, so subspace is a recent thing for you, even though you've been exploring for a while.
Yeah, it is a very
Mm.
recent thing for me.
Mm. Oh, how cool. So how did you first get into kink? What was your arrival into the kink scene like?
So I was an escort when I was 22. I'm 34 now, so it was quite a time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But someone mentioned FET to me, and I was curious, as I am with everything. And I sort of went on there and realized that, oh, this is a resource to understand other people's kinks. And I saw it as an educative thing at the time, being in the sex worker sort of space at the time. And that
Mm.
quickly evolved into, oh, I might be into some of this. I didn't fully explore it consciously until much later, but I was on and off FET for quite a long time between then and now. And then I met my current husband, or only husband, and I was already on that journey when we met. I started going to munches. I started meeting more people, being a lot more proactive in being part of it as opposed to being a lurker. And he was very interested and wanted to sort of go on that journey with me. And 4 years down the track, we got into it together, and we go to events together, and we do all of these things together. And it's been a really amazing experience to share it with someone. because I spent a lot of time on my own between sort of finishing sex work and meeting my husband. Over half that time I was on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So having someone to share it with is such a beautiful thing to me.
Yeah. So your husband wasn't kinky or proactively kinky before he met you? You both kind of went into it together?
I've we've had many a discussion around it, and he says that he was definitely that way inclined without a word for it. Authoritative sex, but realizing that there is a domain in which you can play, that it is definitely a thing. That has been an experience for him to come into it with me.
Oh, I'm so glad you have each other. I wanted to ask you about your time in sex work. I imagine that you learnt a lot about desire, fantasy, and human sexuality during your time being a sex worker. Can you take us a little bit into some of the things that you learnt about people in general, or maybe your biggest learning about sexuality from that time?
I found very early on that it is often not about the act of sex. It is everything before and after that. A lot of people, they don't necessarily come to you to fulfill a physical desire, but more of a emotional one. Whether that comes across as fulfilling a kink, which I didn't do many of those back then. I did do a handful, but I found that a lot of people's sexuality was tied to their emotional, even with men. Men are a lot more emotional than we give them credit for. I dealt with some beautiful, beautiful people with being in the sex industry, that were clients that were there for a myriad of reasons, whether it be because their partner has had an accident and shattered their pelvis and can't physically have sex with their partner anymore, right through to people that had disabilities. I had one gentleman who had a missing limb. He had from the knee, below the knee was missing, and there was a bit of anxiety around, for him, being around other people. And definitely within the disability sort of sector of sex work, I, again, didn't do a lot of it, but I did do it. A lot of people don't probably think about disabled people and having sexuality. That was probably my biggest lesson in the whole thing, is that society as a whole takes their able bodies and minds for granted in terms of their sexuality, because people with disabilities often get overlooked. So that was the biggest thing I took from sex work, is how people with disabilities get overlooked as being sexual beings.
Oh, that's so powerful. Yeah.
And that was something that later down the track, I did think that I wanted to go into sort of an advocating sort of role to facilitate people with disabilities to have those needs met, because sexual health is still health, yet again by the health sector gets overlooked, especially from a pleasure standpoint, because it is really important for us as humans to have those energy exchanges, and that intimacy is really important for our psyche, really important for our physical wellness, and just to feel like you're having a really sort of good interaction with people, and that and in an intimate sort of setting. So that's where I think a lot of disabled people sort of miss out on that, most definitely.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into how much advocacy is going on for that at the moment. I remember reading, it was in the news headlines a few years ago, because they were reducing the amount of funding for services like that. And I haven't heard any more about it. So, yeah, thank you for shining light on that again. I'll have to look into it and see what's happening, and maybe
There's a lot
invite.
of red tape around it, an insane amount of red tape around it,
Yes.
because having, there's a lot of room for grey area. There's a lot of room for
Yes.
being seen as being inappropriate. And in the world of the Me Too movement and, you know, people having a problem with just about everything, it does, you know, create some ethical issues for some people.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look into it. There might even be someone that I can invite to chat on the podcast about what's happening in that area at the moment. So yeah, thank you for shining a light on that. I'll look into it. Mm. Okay, so one of the traditions on the podcast is exploring a quote with you. And today's quote is from James Baldwin. And he was an American writer and civil rights activist. And he once famously said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." And so you've spent years learning about other people's desires through sex work and understanding kink to understand others. And you've eventually discovered parts of yourself along the way. When you hear this quote, what comes up for you? Do you think self-acceptance begins with being willing to face yourself and your desires that we don't fully understand?
I would say, yeah, for sure. I think when you educate yourself on things, you can, through that, accept yourself. I know that I've been very, very lucky, being the stubborn person I am, that I've not ever apologized for who I am. I do struggle with self-acceptance at times, just through the mental health that I have, but I do work really, really hard to um, be kind to myself. And certainly being in a domain like FET and meeting people through it, when you realize there is a community of people that are into a myriad of different things, the self-acceptance ability goes up a lot higher when you are surrounded by people that are just like you.
So was there a particular moment when you were exploring through FetLife that you saw someone like you or went to a particular munch where you're like, these are my people? Or was it a gradual acceptance of your kink and your desires?
I feel like it was a gradual acceptance up to a point. So I went to my first proper kink event at a venue that wasn't a munch, that was actually for kink, probably about 2 years ago. And I remember walking in there going, this is really overwhelming. And by the end of it going, this is my people. This is, and realizing there's a very, very, very strong connection between neurodiversity and kink was a big thing. Because I am neurodiverse, I find that the people I'm meeting through it are all very much the same in that respect. And I think it's because of our dopamine mining tendencies that we're looking for more input. And I think that's where kink comes into it. In terms of impact, needles, wax, it's all sort of input into our nervous system that obviously helps a lot of us to self-regulate.
So you mentioned that when you first arrived, it was overwhelming. What was overwhelming about it? Because there might be someone listening who is wanting to go to a kink event, but they're worried about feeling overwhelmed at the start as well. So can you take us through why it was overwhelming and then what changed and made you feel more at home in that place?
I think because I am by nature a very, very anxious person, again, connected to my neurodiversity, anxiety is a big part of me. It's, again, fear of the unknown, and also things like a bunch of new people. There's a lot of input in terms of there's a lot of different scenes happening around you and you don't know where to look and you want to see all of it. But then you've also got the music that's input. You've got, people that want to approach you and you feel like the most awkward person in the world. So I think it's about that excessive input, especially because when I go to events, I've usually worked that morning and then we've driven down to Melbourne, which is a 4-hour drive. So I'm already fairly depleted by the time I get there.
Right.
So those first couple of times were really, really overwhelming just because it was all new environment, it was all new people, and all of the things happening around me. I remember there was, I think there was 3 impact sessions happening at the time. There was 2 rope sessions happening at the time. I think there was someone in the corner doing needles at the time. There was just a lot to look at, and all these fabulous outfits as well. So I just didn't know where to look. I was getting all this input and I didn't have enough eyeballs to see everything.
Right. And how did you manage that feeling? Did you take some time away from the space? For someone that might enter a space like that and feel overwhelmed, what kind of advice would you have for them in overcoming that sensation?
Having a support person with you certainly helps. My husband is a built-in support person. That definitely helped. He's, again, even more stubborn than me. And when he says he's going to do something, he will do it. He will battle through it. And I think he plays a big part in me forcing myself to battle through it, because knowing what I know now, there was always something really fabulous out the other side. So it's that encouragement of like, well, if I do this, it means I can get out the other side. I can meet some really amazing people, have some really amazing experiences. And I just need to push through that first feeling. I just need to get through that first bit. And also a little bit of pharmaceutical help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you take us through what you did? You were in the space, you're looking around, you're feeling overwhelmed. Did you just chat to your husband about it? Did you go sit somewhere? Did you chat to someone else?
I spoke to the hosts. I
Yep.
felt that was probably the best way to go about it, is to, obviously they deal with all the people that go through their doors, and they know how to manage it a lot better than maybe you can at the time.
Yep.
And through that, they introduced me to a few people that had been there a while and were a lot, sort of similar to me, I suppose, in a way. And they were able to read me fairly quickly and go, well, this person would probably be a good person for you to start with. Have a chat. And after a couple of times being down there, I'm a lot more calm going into it, but I still get that pang of anxiety, but that's probably just a me thing.
Yep. Oh, it sounds like you got a pretty good handle on it. So yeah, thank you for explaining that. I'm sure that will be helpful for a few people that are considering their first event. Yeah.
I think it's just about that, you're going to come across something really amazing out the other side. And I think it's just reminding yourself of that this first bit will be really hard, but out the other side, the reward you get out the other side is what you're doing it for. And it's just to remember that, like, yeah.
And how did you feel when you left that event? So we know what happened for you at the start. You said that you felt like you were around your people. What was the feeling like as you left?
I think it was, I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to learn more. I want to experience more. I want to talk to people. I'm really big on educating myself on a little bit about everything. I pride myself on being the person that people can feel safe within my community.
Right.
And by expanding the things that I can do, whether it be wax or rope or impact or anything like that, if people haven't tried it before, I like to be the person that they can come to and go, I'd like to try this, but I'm a bit scared and it's all really new. And I like being that person people come to. So going to these events in Melbourne, especially living in a rural place like I do, coming back with those skills is really beneficial, not just for me, but for my community as well.
Beautifully said. Now, another tradition on the podcast is exploring a piece of research with you. And today's is actually from a book titled Women in Kink. And in this book, the authors explored women's experiences of kink through their own stories, relationships, and journeys into desire. And one of the recurring themes throughout the book was that many women don't suddenly become kinky. Instead, this desire often unfolds gradually through curiosity, experimentation, relationships, community, and self-discovery. And I was wondering how the themes of this book related to your own journey. You've mentioned that your own pathway into kink felt gradual like that. What about your female friends? Do you think this is a common pathway into kink for women?
I feel like mine is rather unique,
Mm-hmm.
in the respect that because I went into kink or started educating myself on it when I was in the sex industry, I feel like that shaped mine very differently.
Mm.
So I feel like I can't really speak from for other people's experiences, and
Mm-hmm.
because I'm in a very unique position with how I got into it and how,
Mm.
it wasn't just one of my friends mentioned it while we were having drinks on a Sunday afternoon. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't that sort of experience for me. Mine was very much bred from curiosity to understand kinks to better do my job in the sex industry.
Mm-hmm. Yep, fair enough. I wanted to ask you about you and your husband's relationship a little bit more.
Mhm.
So you've kind of explored kink together. How has your dynamic evolved from where it started to where it is today?
Um, that's an interesting question because I don't really feel like it's evolved. I feel like it's always been this way.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Um, we we had a bit of a false start early on, had some time apart, and then reconnected a few months later. Um, and at that time, I was sort of getting into going to munches and meeting people and being a bit more proactive in it. So when we got back together or reconnected and started to get back together, I sort of said, well, I don't want to give up what I'm currently going through. Do you want to join me on this? And it was
Mm.
a he went, well, I'm down for anything. And that was how we sort of went into it. I wouldn't say that we've evolved per se. I think we're open to everything. We always have been, and we operate on the you've got to try it at least twice to be sure.
Am I am I
Yeah.
right in understanding that you switch with each other?
No, so I'm a switch.
Right.
He's more dominant. He has said he would switch for the right woman, um, but they've got to be a pretty sort of, they've got to be pretty well established and have no cracks. I think if they show that little bit of a wavering, he won't be able to do it. Like he's a very dominant person by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So to submit to someone would be a big thing for him. He doesn't rule it out because we never know what the future holds.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I myself thought I was a sub, but he seems to think that I am probably a sub from the bottom.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm a very I sub, but only if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
The switching only sort of came into play for me um, probably in the last 12 months. I currently also have a girlfriend. We are our own version of poly. Um, Obviously, everyone's situation is a bit like a snowflake. They're all a little bit different in how they operate. I have a girlfriend, and she is definitely a sub through and through. And being with her, I have found it really easy to top her. So it's sort of allowed me nearly a crash test dummy, so to speak, to just kind of learn as I go. And she can take a lot. I think she's just someone that knew that was always within her. And often my husband and I co-top with her because he's got undiagnosed ADHD. So his ability to do the warm-up stuff and the focus for it is not so high. I actually really love the warm-up stuff and I'm really good at it. So I start the session with that and he gets into the heavier stuff because he's got an incredible aim, incredible consistency for it. And as a team, we just work together beautifully to top my girlfriend.
Oh,
And
how fun.
yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to again share that with him and with her, because you know it's a beautiful moment, and her husband. It's a beautiful relationship the four of us share, from a kink perspective and just from a vanilla perspective too. We're all very lucky we met each other 12 months ago and have created this beautiful kind of relationship among us that is something you wouldn't have in the vanilla world. It's so much acceptance because we know those more intimate, sacred parts of each other. So the conversations we have are a lot more meaningful and a lot deeper because there's not that surface level stuff of trying to hide who you are or be ashamed of who you are. We just all accept each other for all of what we are, and we can discuss it. And if there's anything that is bugging us in that situation, we can have those conversations and there's no judgment. Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. How did the four of you meet?
It was me being the awkward little potato that I am. They came to their first munch and very much stuck to themselves, spoke to the one person that kind of invited them to the munch, and I spotted her across the room and I sort of went, she's a bit of a cutie. And I went, oh, I'm not approaching her. I'll message her after it, which is generally what I do. That's how I operate, because I am the most awkward potato ever. And I don't know. I'm always scared I'm too much right out the gate. So I negate that by I'll message after and I can curate it a little bit to dial that back and ease them into the insanity that is me. So I messaged her after it, and we ended up going for a lunch not long after that, and the rest is history. We are often within our community very much a package deal, the four of us. So if we're all at an event, it's pretty clear the dynamic we share, and everyone sort of at events can tell that we are all very connected. They can tell the vibes. They can read the body language and the vibes of it. And I think a lot of people can be quite sort of jealous of that. We've had a few people try and insert themselves into it, and we're kind of like, no, thank you. Like,
Well, I guess it's attractive to see a dynamic like that where there's four people that are obviously getting on so well. I can see why it would attract all sorts of attention.
And jealousy is a big thing. I feel like that the way it's perceived, I think a lot of people forget that, well, we've put 12 months of effort into this, and it's not just on the kink front. It's just as people. It's spending time together in a vanilla setting. It's, taking our children to the pool or going for lunch or, it's integrating the vanilla with the kink, and it's a cohesive connection. It's not one-dimensional in terms of it's just kink. It's we are all connected in a very real way, with or without kink.
And what's been your biggest learning from navigating this dynamic? Because I imagine it could be complicated quite easily if you weren't on top of things like communication. What would you say has been your biggest learning from having this interesting dynamic?
We live about 45 minutes apart, and very early on, conversations have been had around our husbands and our relationships with our husbands comes first. Our relationship comes second.
Right.
We definitely operate on hierarchy. A lot of people have a problem with that. That's fine. That's their prerogative. But the way we operate is very much our relationships are our relationships, and us as a group is a separate thing. But if that ever affects our separate relationships, that's when we start to sort of question why is that. But we haven't run into that, and I don't think we really will run into that, purely because we're all very much on the same page, and we all do very much chat about that quite often.
Beautiful. It's lovely to hear such a wonderful connection has evolved, and it all started at a munch.
Yeah, and it was very unexpected. It was often that's how things go. It's when you're not looking, the best things turn up. I mean, my husband and I, the very first time when we connected was through a local singles page on Facebook.
Oh, really?
And at the time we both had sort of went in that couple of weeks prior to that, had went, right, I'm done with meeting people. I need to just not. And lo and behold, poof, someone appears that is the person.
Oh, how wonderful. Okay, so as part of our conversation today, I asked you to bring along something that shaped your erotic realm, like a quote or a book or movie. Can you share with us what you've brought along and how it shaped you?
It was a very bizarre thing when this all unfolded, because it was a very it happened very early. I was exposed to the film The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I was quite young, and at the time I enjoyed the dancing numbers and the music and the sparkles and all of that, not really understanding the premise of it. And at the time, it wasn't until later when I was a teenager that I watched it again that I sort of went, oh, so this might have been a pre-planting of the seeds that then evolved into, well, what this represents for me. And it was this sort of very outlandish transvestite man that, it was all very, very wild. After I watched it when I was of more mature mind, I sort of went, I can't believe someone sat me down and let me watch this at like 3 years old. But it was because of the dancing and the music, and that was the appeal of it. It was essentially a musical. But through that, as I got older, I sort of went, well, this has shown me that you don't have to be cis, you don't have to be straight, you don't have to be traditional. And that's what that sort of imparted into me as I sort of came into teenagerhood and watched it again. So I guess that was the beginning of it. And then as I got a little bit older, I remember that watching Eurotrip and losing my virginity watching Eurotrip was probably the point. Because the premise of that was also friends going to Europe, but one of the characters, Cooper, was all about having wild European sex, and this thing of, well, being traditional isn't the be all and end all. You can go down a different path, and I guess that's what that imparted on me, is going down that different path and forming your own opinions and forming your own belief system around it. I've never been one to conform. I mean, I went into sex work when I was 22. I've never been one to conform to society's expectations. My mum always says I've always danced to the beat of my own drum, so to speak. And I guess this is probably testament to that now at 34, that I am leading my own life and not sort of doing what society expects of me. And living the life I'm living, I often find myself saying to my husband or my girlfriend or even some of my friends at work that I am so, so lucky to be living the life I'm living. I never thought it was possible. I never thought that I could nurture the parts of me that I knew were always there, but I wasn't sure how to accept them and open up about them. But through FET and meeting people that way and meeting the people that are all much like me have really opened me up to this is okay and this is acceptable and within this domain, very normal.
Well, that's truly touching to hear. I'm so glad you've been able to find your people and experience that feeling of being normal, even though you live your life to the beat of your own drum. Yeah, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So you have lived quite an interesting life so far and explored your sexuality in a myriad of ways. I'm curious to hear from you, what's a peak erotic experience that you've had from all of this journey that you've been on, a time that really stays with you?
It's a very interesting question. I'm not entirely sure how to answer it.
Maybe something just more recent that really sticks with you, or
Well, definitely my experience with subspace in the last, and this has literally happened in the last 10 days.
Okay. Can you take us through it?
It was just a sort of thing that we tend to forget that kink is a thing. Life gets in the way, work gets in the way, anxiety, stress, all those things. Life is life. We're all just trying to survive at the moment. And it all sort of went by the wayside. And my husband had said to me, let's get back into it. Let's, we need to do a session of this, and this week. I went, all right, cool. And I had a particularly terrible day at work and I went, impact tonight? He's like, yes. And it was interesting. I feel like we were really dialed into each other on a really intense level that particular day. And I don't know, it just flowed. We put music on the TV, had both had a whiskey each, had done dinner and stuff, and sort of set everything up in a really calm environment. And that was, it all just kind of unfolded in a really natural, organic way that it was very calming to begin with, and then sort of ramped up a bit like I kind of describe it as a roller coaster. It's kind of like you go up to more the heavier stuff and then you come back down and then you go back up to the heavy stuff, and this nice sort of flow of, and that's sort of what it was. And out the other side, I was just doe-eyed and dopey, and I was like, this was great.
So did you feel floaty?
I did. I felt, even though I was crying out in pain, because let's be honest, it is pain. And everyone's comes out differently. Mine comes out quite vocally. It was, so we have two impact pieces that I am genuinely quite scared of. We have one that is a tread mark. It's got quite a bit of bend in it, which means when it impacts, it can leave tread marks if you give a good enough swing, and it's got a delayed sting. So as it hits, it's okay, but that sting in the next 3 seconds is gnarly. And generally I only get about 3 swings out of it and I go, tap out, I'm done. But he got 6 out of that one this session. And we've also got a wooden paddle, but it is like we actually bought it from a stall at a Sunday market, and it's supposed to be like a charcuterie board, but it's quite narrow, and we saw it, went, well, that's a BT tool, we're going to buy that. So he got 6 swings out of that, which I was really, really surprised at, because that's the first time I've really had a good swing from it. And I think it's just because I went over that precipice of pain, because I tend to stop at that point of I've had enough, where this time I sort of went, let's just push through it and see where we end up. And that's where we ended up. I became quite calm and floaty, and just, it's a feeling that unless you've had it, it's really hard to describe the full extent of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like an orgasm. If someone says they're not sure if they've had an orgasm or not, it's like you probably haven't. And if you're not sure if you've been in subspace or not, then you probably haven't, because once you're there, you just, you know.
You know. Yep.
And how long did that feeling last for? Did you have that relief, that sensation for quite a while?
It was only short. It was probably only about 6 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And then the warm down sort of happened, because with me, my husband knows me well enough to know that there is a point where I sort of go, I'm done.
Yeah.
And he does like a good top wood, checks in with me. And again, our situation, because we are so connected, we're married and all that sort of stuff, he can read me well enough to go, okay, I think she's at her point of that's right at the edge of tolerance. And it's a process to get me further along that tolerance.
Yeah, what a beautiful connection you have. You're both very blessed to have each other. It's lovely to hear about it. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, I'm always so thankful that I was able to meet him and find him. I spent 4 years on my own after the breakdown of my relationship with my son's father. And I was certain there was not going to be someone else on my horizon, certainly not someone who was going to accept every part of me in this kind of way. So I'm incredibly lucky, and I'm always so vocal in saying how lucky I am to him and to everyone around me that I was able to find the love I found, because I never thought I would.
Beautiful. That's something from your recent past. What about your future? Do you have something in particular that you're looking forward to experiencing?
Not at present. I operate on the journey. I try to educate myself on things around me, certainly in the domain of kink. I don't have an end goal. I just want to enjoy as it happens. It will all happen as it needs to happen, I suppose, is the way that I view it. Like with needles, it was a chance encounter, and we went down that road. So I sort of want to see a bit more of that sort of happen as we go along and meet more people and go to events and stuff. It's all very much about education for me and understanding. And that's how I find whether I'm into something or not.
Like an organic unfolding of your desire. I love it.
Yeah, I allow it to evolve as it needs to evolve.
So say there's a married woman that's listening right now who is quietly questioning their own desires and wanting to explore kink, but they're not sure where to start. What would you want them to know? I feel that it starts with exploring it with yourself. Just with, and it really depends where they're at in their own sexuality to start with, because I think a lot of the time it starts as fantasy and you don't know how to accept that to start with. And then that's, I think, where the steps start to happen, where you need to maybe try with really simple things like temperature play. One of my favorite toys is a glass toy. It is like when it's cold, it's a different sensation to when it's warm. So I feel like experimenting with that on your own, things like that, and just touching yourself differently, exploring that with yourself first, and then trying to maybe have the conversation with your partner about, these are some of the desires I'm having. Do you have something similar, or would you be open to sort of experiencing that with me or exploring that with me?
I know it's insanely daunting, and sometimes the fear of getting knocked back in a way and going, I'm not into that, that's really a real fear. And I can appreciate that. I went through that. I understand. In a previous life, most definitely I went through that. And I think it's trying to get comfortable with it within yourself is probably the biggest thing first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't accept it yourself, you're going to really struggle to try and facilitate that conversation to start with your partner.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. Thank you. So thinking back on your journey and where you are today, if you had to describe your erotic self in one word and one word only, what word would you use and why?
See, I thought about this for the last 3 days, and I came up with so many different things.
Okay.
I would probably say curious is probably the word.
Mm-hmm.
Purely because I strive to be curious about things. I strive to learn about things, and I think curiosity is the thing that drives that. And I would say that would be certainly me in a nutshell. If I was given one word, I am curious in the kink community. I am curious in my kink life.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Jay. What I love about this conversation is that beneath the stories about sex work, kink, relationships, and exploration, it's really a story about self-discovery. And I think many listeners will see parts of themselves reflected in your journey. So thank you for taking us into your erotic realm today.
No worries. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Erotic Realm podcast. This is an independent podcast. If you want to see more episodes made, you can support it at psychologyofdesire.com by becoming a paid subscriber and entering the realm with many other supporters. The mission of the Erotic Realm is to humanize kink and desire in all of its forms. And we can't do that without you. Until the next time, stay perverted.